This is an emergency alert message from the King County Emergency Management Office. Please stand by for important information. The following message is being transmitted at the request of King County Emergency Management. A local area emergency has been declared for King County and surrounding areas due to technical disruptions affecting critical infrastructure. Residents are urged to remain calm and monitor local news channels for updates. As of this time, multiple reports indicate power grid irregularities and intermittent communication outages. Emergency services may be delayed or unavailable. If you have a personal emergency, contact 9-1-1. However, some lines may be experiencing disruption. Stay indoors, conserve resources, and do not use telecommunication systems unless absolutely necessary. Updates will be provided as more information becomes available. Please stay tuned to the station.
This is an emergency alert message from the Snohomish County Emergency Management Office. Please stand by for important information. The following is a civil emergency message issued at the request of the Snohomish County Emergency Management Office. Significant technical failures linked to the Y2K issue have caused widespread disruptions to essential services in Snohomish County. Residents are advised that power outages, water supply interruptions, and ATM/banking network failures are ongoing. Emergency responders are experiencing system limitations, and delays in response times are expected. Residents are urged to shelter in place unless evacuation orders are issued. Be prepared for prolonged service interruptions. Limit your use of water, power, and phone lines to essential purposes only. If you or someone in your household relies on electrically powered medical equipment, contact local emergency management for assistance at 425-555-2000 or 1-8. 100-555 help 1-8. 100-555-4357. Alternative communication methods are being established, and updates will be broadcast on this station as they become available. Do not travel unless absolutely necessary, as traffic control systems are not operational in many areas. Please remain calm and stay tuned for further instructions. The following is an evacuation immediate message issued at the request of Benton County Emergency Management and the Washington State Emergency Operations Center. At this time, the Columbia Generating Station nuclear power facility, located near Richland, WA, is experiencing critical system failures as a result of Y2K related technical disruptions. Cooling systems are reported to have failed, and a meltdown is imminent. Residents within a 10-mile radius of the Columbia Generating Station are ordered to evacuate immediately. This includes all residents in Richland, West Richland, and parts of Kennewick. Additional evacuation zones may be announced as the situation develops. Evacuate using pre-designated evacuation routes, which will be marked by local authorities where possible. Traffic control systems may be inoperative. Follow posted signs and instructions from emergency personnel. If you lack transportation or require special assistance, contact emergency services at 1-800-555-4357 or proceed to the nearest emergency assembly point for assistance. Bring only essential items, such as medications, identification, and emergency supplies. Do not delay evacuation to gather non-essential belongings. For those outside the evacuation zone, shelter indoors, close all windows and doors, and turn off ventilation systems to minimize exposure to potential radioactive materials. This is a life-threatening situation. Evacuate now if you are in the affected area. Stay tuned to this station for further updates.
This is an emergency action notification. All broadcast stations and cable systems shall transmit this emergency action notification message. This is not a test. The following message is being transmitted at the request of the United States government. A critical systems failure linked to the Y2K issue has resulted in the unintentional launch of intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs, by the United States, Russia, and other nuclear-armed nations. Attempts to intercept these missiles have failed, and multiple nuclear detonations are anticipated. The following locations in the United States have been identified as primary targets. Residents in these areas must evacuate immediately, if possible. If you are unable to evacuate, proceed to the lowest, most shielded part of your building or structure and remain there. Primary target cities: New York City, New York, Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, California, Chicago, Illinois, Houston, Texas, San Francisco, California, Seattle, Washington, Miami, Florida, Boston, Massachusetts, Dallas, Texas, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Atlanta, Georgia, Detroit, Michigan, Phoenix, Arizona, Denver, Colorado, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Portland, or San Diego, California, Las Vegas, Nevada, St. Louis, Missouri, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Baltimore, Maryland, Indianapolis, Indiana, Orlando, Florida, Cleveland, Ohio, Charlotte, North Carolina, Nashville, Tennessee, San Antonio, Texas, Kansas City, Missouri, Columbus, Ohio, Salt Lake City, Utah, New Orleans, Louisiana, Sacramento, California, Tampa, Florida, Cincinnati, Ohio, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Austin, Texas, Memphis, Tennessee, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, Louisville, Kentucky, Honolulu, Hawaii, Anchorage, Alaska, Jacksonville, Florida, Omaha, Nebraska, Birmingham, Alabama. Residents within a 100-mile radius of these cities should seek evacuation immediately, if routes are passable. If evacuation is impossible, shelter indoors in a basement or underground facility. Seal windows and doors, and use any available shielding materials, such as heavy furniture or dense walls, to reduce exposure to radiation. If you are outside the 100-mile radius of these locations, remain indoors and stay tuned for further updates. Limit all travel to emergencies only. Stock up on food, water, and emergency supplies. Avoid contact with fallout and do not consume food or water exposed to the outside air. This is a national emergency. Further instructions will follow, as they become available. This station will remain on the air to provide updates as long as possible. Please stay tuned.
following is an official update from the National Information Center regarding the ongoing nuclear emergency. Nuclear detonations have occurred across the United States and other parts of the world. Fallout zones have been identified, and the public is urged to take immediate action to protect themselves. Confirmed fallout zones. Fallout is present or expected in the following regions due to nuclear detonations and prevailing wind patterns. Northeastern U.S., New York City, Boston, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Pittsburgh, and surrounding areas. Fallout moving toward upstate New York and parts of New England. Southeastern U.S., Atlanta, Charlotte, Jacksonville, Miami, and Tampa areas. Fallout spreading toward central Florida and the Carolinas. Midwest U.S., Chicago, Detroit, Indianapolis, Cleveland, and Columbus. Fallout moving toward the Great Lakes region. Southern U.S., Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, and New Orleans. Fallout spreading toward Oklahoma and Arkansas. Western U.S., Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle, Portland, and Denver. Fallout moving toward inland regions including Utah, Nevada, and parts of Arizona. Pacific territories, Honolulu and Anchorage. Fallout patterns are localized but hazardous. Essential survival tips. If you are in a fallout zone, shelter indoors immediately. Go to the lowest and most central location in your building, such as a basement. Use heavy materials like furniture, dense walls, or books to shield yourself from radiation. Seal your shelter. Use duct tape, plastic sheeting, or blankets to cover windows and doors. Limit outside air exposure as much as possible. Food and water safety. Do not consume food or water exposed to fallout. Use prepackaged or sealed food supplies and bottled water. Stay indoors. Radiation levels are highest in the first 24 to 48 hours after a nuclear detonation. Do not leave your shelter unless instructed to evacuate or it is absolutely necessary. Monitor for updates. If you have access to a battery-powered or crank radio, tune into this station or local emergency broadcasts for updates. Outside fallout zones. Shelter in place and avoid travel. Airborne radiation may spread unpredictably. Conserve food and water supplies. Avoid panic buying or hoarding. Help neighbors who may need assistance but avoid unnecessary contact with the outside environment. Additional resources. Emergency personnel are working to establish safe zones and supply distribution centers. Updates on these locations will be broadcast as information becomes available. Stay calm, remain indoors, and continue monitoring official channels for updates. This station will remain operational to provide critical information as long as possible.